I had this thought, right? And it basically has to do with all people asking me, like, is your build bait or whatever, you know? Things like that. And to be honest, I don't really know how to answer it. I don't really know how to answer that question. But I was thinking, like, why is that even a question? Shouldn't this be something that you should be able to, like, figure out on your own? Can't just, like, you know, use your brain and look? But I realize, like, a lot of people actually struggle with, I guess, opening up a PoB and see if it works, right? And I get why sometimes. Sometimes the interactions are really complex. Sometimes there's like a bunch of like manual config things that are hard. Like the rolling magma build, who knows? Like, what's the hit rate on it? Like, what's Arcus brand range do? You know, does it get deleted or something? Like, can the balls remove early? Can they go too far? How much the min project can play with? You know, all these things. But those things you can kind of troubleshoot yourself. But it's not hard to, I think, actually evaluate a POB on what it is, right? So take this one for instance. This is Fub's POB. I opened it and I saw this, and I was thinking, oh man, I think it's gonna be like, I think there's gonna be a lot of holes in this. I'm gonna be honest. That's kind of what I thought when I opened this up. And I guess like this is how I do it. The first thing I do when I open a POB is I look at the defensive set before I do anything. I don't give a shit about damage. The first thing I look at is defenses, and I ask myself, the first question I ask myself is, what are the conditional defenses? How much they matter? How consistent are they? And kind of remove them. So like, if you take all the conditionals on this for defense, you can see it's still like decent, right? 20k max fist, 55k max LE. There's not like sap or anything here. You know, it seems like mostly okay as far as it goes defensively. It's, you know, a Berserker's got 6k life, Fortify, Endurance charges. It makes sense that it's like this, right? And then you look at 3 different categories as far as defenses go. And I want this to be really clear that there's 3 really important categories. The first is max hit, the second is avoidance, the third is recovery. So max hit wise, this build is like pretty strong, right? Pub's build, super good. Like it's about as good as you want an SC trade, I think. Like before you start farming like endgame stuff. And then the next one I would look at is avoidance. And for this particular build, avoidance is like basically non-existent. It runs a Jade Flask while mapping, which puts you at a tiny amount of evasion. This is still better than nothing, granted, but it's almost nothing. It has no block because it's playing two-hander. It doesn't have any sort of multi-mitigation of any sort. It can if you take Defy Pain. But I think his original PoB had aspect on it. His aspect, rage, exert. It was double rage, aspects, and yeah. But if you take Defy Pain, then maybe, right? I'm not sure how well this is gonna perform, but if like a pack of cannibals shoots at you, you'll just die. So it's not great. And the third thing is recovery. So this build has no avoidance, right? Recovery and avoidance are kind of side by side. It has like leech. I think it's running like an attack leech chat as well. Volcanic Fissure is multi-hitting, so it's not that bad. It has 5% instant leech, which isn't that good. There's no increased leech rate on this, no overleech or anything like that, so it's okay. There's like constant degen because of this. There's almost no regen. So it's like mediocre in terms of recovery, right? It also runs a life flask, which is like important. So it's like mid-level recovery. So like defensively, this build's like okay. And the PoB doesn't lie too much. DPS wise is like the next thing, right? I'll look at kind of 2 main things. Firstly is clear versus single target, and the secondly is burst versus consistent uptime. So clear versus single target for Fissure, it doesn't matter. It's the exact same pretty much. You just press your shit, you're auto exerting everything. You get like, I mean, he's playing a full auto exert setup. I think he's, yeah, just Infernal Cry, but the rest of it, super consistent, so it's the exact same for each. The only bursting is Tincture, I think, for his entire build. He's playing no Berserk. So this is like really easy to do. And without the Tincture, it's still more than enough. With the Tincture, I mean, you're gonna have that, right, in your burst window. And because the DPS on this is high enough, the burst versus non-burst. So clear versus non-clear, it doesn't matter in this case, right? Burst versus non-burst, even if this was like giving you 150% more damage, it would be fine because the damage threshold at which you're at in this PoB is more than enough, right? It's like, it's very high. So I think it's strong enough that it doesn't matter. I think we lost other loadouts, by the way, because of the update to my PoB. Okay, that's like DPS wise. So it's pretty simple, right? And third thing to look at is movement. And like movement wise, this is pretty good. It's got reasonable attack speed, not super slow. It's running a Vol Axe 1.46. It's running Leap Slam, faster attacks. And it has like actual okay move speed as well for looting, especially once the Quicksilver's up. Oh, it's a Warcry onslaught. So it's like really consistent in terms of its movement. It's not super fast. The Leap Slam's okay. But you should have all 3 things usually on a PoB as far as move speed goes, right? Flasks for enough movement speed, looking for onslaught phasing as like your conditionals that are like slightly better, and then a movement skill. Shield charge, leap slam, whirling blades, and then also frostlink. If it's missing those things, I don't consider it a complete PoB. And then the rest of it is looking at things like suffix pressure. In this case, the suffix pressure is actually like okay high. It's not like super bad or anything. And you also have options to take this and stuff, so it's not super hard to like actually cap out your res. Especially with this kind of tree, helping Illyria and stuff like that. And then gearing wise, it's fairly deterministic because it's an F stuff, okay? So like that's an example of a build that's like pretty good. I opened up this other PoB this morning. This isn't meant to like, I'm not trying to be incendiary or anything. It just happens to be a PoB that I looked at. I looked at it and like, I thought it was extremely obvious that it was dog shit in a gajillion different ways. And I want to go over what, like using the exact same criteria, you can kind of see why this is the case. So this is a cold dot occultist character, okay? And like configs aside, let's just assume the I don't even know if these configs are correct. I'm gonna assume that they are, okay? But we should note that a lot of these configs are from somewhere. So the first thing, defensively, what are we looking at? How much conditional? I look at the max, I'm like, oh, hey, that's not bad at all. I look at conditional defense. Max hits pretty good, or conditional defense first. I check here, right? And the first thing I note is like, oh, whoa, Molten Shell is ticked. Okay, I hate it when this is the case. I don't know why people do this. I mean, it's important to have, but like, it's not really up that much. And then like, you know, the flats are up and everything. So like, unconditional defense, you know, there's this stuff. Occultist is what mitigation based over here. There's no enfeeble or anything like that, I think, on this character. So that's not bad. Like 12k, 30k is not bad, right? I think it's okay defensively. I don't like it when it's here, but again, like that's why in Fuzz PoB, the Molten Shell was already unticked, right? It was active, but it was unticked. Occultist by itself is actually pretty good defensively. You get a lot of max CS. It's got a decent sized pool, 2.4, 4.4, so it's not bad. This is playing no suppression as well, but it's not really playing, I don't think it has endurance charge generation, no fortify, so we'll just struggle in those ways. And it doesn't touch any. Okay, so that's the max hit. It's okay. Next thing I look at what is avoidance, right? Avoidance wise, this has 76 spell block, which is really sick. It has 23 block chance, which is not good, and it has 23 evasion, which is a huge problem because you can't really take Defy Pain on this, right? Spell block is nice, but it's actually not that important in maps. But this basically has no evasion. I mean, it has the Jade Flask too, but firstly, this is like a dot build, so you actually need to have defense on it. Even if Wintertide can like target quite well and stuff, it's not bad, right? Avoidance is almost non-existent though. This thing will die constantly mapping. It is not a map viable build. In bosses, you won't notice this at all, but in mapping, this will feel like shit. And then recovery-wise, it's probably okay. You get 100 flat ES off Occultist. It has a lot of life regen. I would probably click Zeo on this. I'm assuming it has Zeo on this before or something like that. Wait, does that make sense? I think it probably had Zeo on it before, surely, right? Okay, I don't know why it doesn't have Zealot's Oath clicked, but let's just pretend it has Zealot's Oath clicked, because that would be the right thing to do. It doesn't, though. When I'm looking at the PoB online right now, it doesn't. Well, that's something else altogether. So like, already it's got 2 of the defensive sets are a problem. But then I look at this character, I look at like how it's set up defensively, and I realize, wait, defensively, it's running golems for defense, actually. It's running golems for defense, and it's an occultist. So in terms of the conditional defenses, yes, these are already conditional defense on elementalists. On an occultist, this is like non-existent, basically, man. There's so much elemental damage. Also, I don't know why it's ticked to be active here, but we take this, and then if you actually take out the conditional defense and the conditional, I forgot, like it gives you dot multi too, right? Which one? Where's the third golem? So you have to lose the chaos golem, the stone golem, right? And now it's like 10k 28, right? Which is actually still okay, but where's the PDR from? Is that from somewhere? Wait, this is weird annotation. Sorry, so we like these are the conditional defenses. Okay, I mean 10, 28. It's running. No, it's not. It doesn't have Flesh Flame. It's his Leaf Starter, right? So like it's super conditional actually. So you're gonna lose that as well. What is this? Harsh Lessons, Arcane Surge buff, sure. Everything else here looks fine. But like it's even more conditional. So like, check on. Well, the point is, I think golems on a non-elementalist thing is insane to do. Like this is basically non-existent. It's dumb as hell, right? So that's damage wise, or that's defensively. Damage wise, I think this is okay. It's hard to evaluate. Like when you evaluate DPS for every build, it's gonna be different in terms of how you do it, right? For cold dot, it's like okay, it's a dot build, so it has decent DPS, not poison. It's playing 3 different dot skills, and this is during burst up time. So burst up time is the VCS up. VCS up down in this is 1.5 mil. VCS duration on this is actually pretty good, I want to say. It's got, okay, it's 7 seconds. Okay, it's not the best. It's okay. Well, I mean, it's there sometimes. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but the VCS is like responsible for a lot of the damage. And then it runs Wintertide over here. The Wintertide calc is always interesting to do. You just like look at the thing. It has cast rate 6. So it's gonna depend on your brand duration, right? The skill effect duration is 4. That's super long, actually. Why is it so long? Oh, it's in duration wheel? Okay. So eventually it'll hit there, but it's ramping type DPS. It'll be fine. It will get to 20 stage, so that's okay. I think DPS wise is fairly consistent. It is like not the most efficient, and the burst versus non-burst is fairly low. And also because it's like this, it's gonna be like less consistent, right? You're not like 50 million bursts, you're gonna kill every Uber boss. This is like 5 million bursts. You're gonna have to go through your VCS several times, so it's okay. The damage fall off isn't that bad, but I kind of like it, you know, kind of good. And then clear versus single target is kind of weird on this. I think this build dot-wise would be pretty decent. The one thing to note is that the clear for this is like interesting. I've never seen a PoB before that plays Wintertide brand with this radius. This has one increased, like one area of effect mod. This is a cold dot build that does not take increased AoE on it. Anywhere. Somehow. And has almost no cast speed on it. With 2 cast speed rolls. Like, it has 0 AoE. So, like, this is even part of the DPS calc, but as I'm looking through the skills, which is what I do when I'm looking at DPS, this thing is like, it doesn't exist, basically. This thing would clear worse than basic attack. 2.2 on Vortex. I mean, that one's not as bad. The Wintertide brand's like what you probably want to clear with, right? You could kind of clear with Cold Snap and stuff, but again, these are all base 1 AoEs. This is like insane to do, right? This is absurd. Like, legitimately 0 increased AoE, and I don't know how that's gonna map. Like, I played Cold Dot before. There's no world in which I would ever do this. Also note that it doesn't take caster mastery, which is one of the most important things to have on a 3 cast skill. Your cast rate on like the Cold Snap cast rate, it has 46% increased cast speed, dude. Sorry, this is just bugged out because of charges. This is like incredibly dog shit for cast speed. This is like gonna be the worst feeling Cold Dot build you can play, actually. Yeah. This is gonna be the worst feeling Cold Dot. It has 46% total increased cast speed on it, with 0 base AoE. Like, to me, that's insane. Okay, so, and then if you look at movement, this skill is, I mean, 16% move speed isn't great. It's also running 20 MS boost, just like low end gear. I understand that. There is a Quicksilver Flask, 68. That's not bad. It has a Quartz Flask, what I do like. It's playing a. Wait, why would you ever put clinicians on here? Okay, if you're gonna play Quartz Flask, you would always use reduce effect of anything, because Quartz Flask you're not using for suppress cap usually. You're using to, like, you know, get phasing. So this is insane. I don't know what this is doing here. I haven't looked at this PoB yet. This is random flask. Why put a mod on it? Why this mod of all things? Anyways, that prefix is like the worst. It's the worst kind of prefix you'd have. Like, if there's one mod you don't want to have, it'd be that one. Okay, there's that. Other things to note on this PoB. What did I say? Movement wise. So movement wise, I'll look for movement speed. I look for movement skills, right? It's running Flame Dash, which I think is weird. I don't know why you wouldn't play Frostblink. It's running Hex Touch. All right, that's cooked, man. Okay, whatever. It's running Flame Dash. The Hex Touch I don't even want to get into. But it's missing a movement skill. I don't know why it's not running a movement skill. It has a shield on, right? Like, the brand recall thing for Wintertide is super unimportant. It's running Skinner bots? Oh, man. Yo, for cold skills? What the hell? Sorry, I'm actually flipping shit looking at this now. It's like worse than I thought. Okay, what in the fucking world? So that's just for a little bit of shock, you know? It's a 35 aura for 12, but I mean, you could also just take more nodes and take less reservation, or like, you know, play Zealotry. Oh wait, is this playing? Yeah, you can play Zealotry instead. Zealotry 50 versus like a 12 summon Skitter boss. Zealotry is way better. Curse Ring. Is it playing Profane? Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, the auto curse is kind of nice, I guess, for this. Is it playing Explode? No, it's not. Okay, does that really matter then? What the fuck? Really? I think it's kind of good. Okay, I don't hate that as much. The Skitter boss I kind of fuck with. The Chilling Aura, it's Left Ring Assault, right? Okay, that one I kind of like. Oh, it doesn't have Flesh and Stone on it? Man, this thing could actually probably be pretty tanky, dude. If you built like some Avoid, if you built this for block base and then took like path down towards block nodes instead, you can actually be kind of tanky. That's too bad. This is set up like not well. Hey, wait, why is it Bone Chill Wintertide? Yo, Bone Chill should always be on Cold Snap. Bone Chill should always be on Cold Snap. Because Cold Snap has this fucking mod here that has a 20% more effective chill, but... Okay, that aside, there's no movement skill on here, there's no shield charge, so that's where we're at for movement. And then in terms of suffix pressure, I think it's okay. It's not very suffix starved at all. Not that many uniques. Your helmet kind of loses everything, but you should be able to make your resist no problem. And like you can see, like I compared this to my Cold Dot PoB, and my Cold Dot PoB is also using golems, but you know, I'm a fucking elementalist, so I actually get to have them, right? You know, because they kind of survive sometimes. And then it's playing like, you know, 8k evasion, Jade up goes to like 15k. It has tech in for grace. It has optional grace. It depends on your suffix pressure, right? This has ailment immunity. And if you go grace, you're up to like 17k, and then with flask up, you're up to like 28k. So like it depends on how you end up feeling while mapping, but the option's there. Like it's not hard to like build your ailment avoidance because your suffix are open, but like this is like fine period of elements. Like I just felt like even like making a really fast Wintertide PoB, this is like, I don't know. I found like that build to be super inefficient. Once you start building it, you realize like just how shit it is. Super frustrating. So yeah, that's how I review builds, right? And just like one thing to know, guys, that's how I review them categorically, right? But when I actually, if you don't know if a build is good or bad, there's like this one really, really good way of evaluating whether a build is good or bad. Okay, because you're on YouTube or some shit, you're like looking at some fucking build maker or something. Really easy. You go and you look at these stupid videos of like, you know, day 3 update or something, or like, you know, day 2 update. You look at things like that, and you'll get a pretty good sense of like whether or not a build is good, or you just see what they did in previous leagues. Like history will always tell you whether or not people make good builds or bad builds, which is why I'm always confused about people evaluating builds. Like there's so much history in PoE, most of it is documented. It's really easy to see whether or not someone has made good builds in the past or not. And the nice thing is every fucking league, think about this, every single league, guys, when you guys are asking whether or not a build is good or bad in softcore, you notice that when you watch your random YouTuber that has uploaded some like big ass clickbait thing with like some big O-face title, oh my god, when you watch their streams, they have to look at my name in the chat box, but I never need to look at theirs, right? So like, just something to think about, you know?